It is better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer somebody else up. All you need in this life is ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure. Get your facts first, then you can distort them as you please. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Go to heaven for the climate, hell for the company. Buy land, they're not making it anymore. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. Do the right thing, it will gratify some people and astonish the rest. It ain't those parts of the Bible that I can't understand that bother me, it is the parts that I do understand. The only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not. I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. Humor is mankind's greatest blessing. Don't let schooling interfere with your education. Do the thing you fear most and the death of fear is certain. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. When you fish for love, bait with your heart, not your brain. Thunder is good, thunder is impressive, but it is lightning that does the work. Never pick a fight with people who buy ink by the barrel. There are lies, damned lies and statistics. Let us endeavor so to live so that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. Golf is a good walk spoiled. It usually takes me more than 3 weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech. There is a charm about the forbidden that makes it unspeakably desirable. Grief can take care of itself, but to get the full value of a joy you must have somebody to divide it with. Loyalty to petrified opinion never yet broke a chain or freed a human soul. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Suppose you were an idiot, and suppose you were a member of Congress, but I repeat myself. Patriotism is supporting your country all the time, and your government when it deserves it. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. In the first place, God made idiots. That was for practice. Then he made school boards. The lack of money is the root of all evil. Never put off till tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow. A man who carries a cat by the tail learns something he can learn in no other way. You can't depend on your eyes when your imagination is out of focus. A man's character may be learned from the adjectives which he habitually uses in conversation. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience, this is the ideal life. Be careful about reading health books. You may die of a misprint. The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Part of the secret of a success in life is to eat what you like and let the food fight it out inside. Clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence on society. Don't part with your illusions. When they are gone, you may still exist, but you have ceased to live. The human race has one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. The Nile ain't just a river in Egypt. We have the best government that money can buy. All generalizations are false, including this one. truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. Giving up smoking is the easiest thing in the world. I know because I've done it thousands of times. A man is never more truthful than when he acknowledges himself a liar. The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. I don't like to commit myself about heaven and hell. You see, I have friends in both places. There is no distinctly American criminal class except Congress. Only one thing is impossible for God: to find any sense in any copyright law on the planet. It's no wonder that truth is stranger than fiction. Fiction has to make sense. My mother had a great deal of trouble with me, but I think she enjoyed it. Cauliflower is nothing but cabbage with a college education. When angry, count to 4. When very angry, swear. Patriot, the person who can holler the loudest without knowing what he is hollering about. In the spring, I have counted 136 different kinds of weather inside of 24 hours. Be careless in your dress if you must, but keep a tidy soul. Facts are stubborn, but statistics are more pliable. Many a small thing has been made large by the right kind of advertising. Action speaks louder than words, but not nearly as often. Apparently, there is nothing that cannot happen today. I don't give a damn for a man that can only spell a word one way. The very ink with which history is written is merely fluid prejudice. It is better to take what does not belong to you than to let it lie around neglected. India has 2 million gods and worships them all. In religion, all other countries are paupers. India is the only millionaire. When in doubt, tell the truth. Climate is what we expect, weather is what we get. Man was made at the end of the week's work, when God was tired. To be good is noble, but to show others how to be good is nobler and no trouble. A person with a new idea is a crank until the idea succeeds. Laws control the lesser man, right conduct controls the greater one. I didn't attend the funeral, but I sent a nice letter saying I approved of it. It is curious that physical courage should be so common in the world and moral courage so rare. Training is everything. The peach was once a bitter almond. Cauliflower is nothing but cabbage with a college education. When we remember we are all mad, the mysteries disappear and life stands explained. A person who won't read has no advantage over one who can't read. Loyalty to the nation all the time, loyalty to the government when it deserves it. Life would be infinitely happier if we could only be born at the age of 80 and gradually approach 18. Everything has its limit. Iron ore cannot be educated into gold. When your friends begin to flatter you on how young you look, it's a sure sign you're getting old. Principles have no real force except when one is well fed. When people do not respect us, we are sharply offended, yet in his private heart no man much respects himself. Wrinkles should merely indicate where smiles have been. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. If the world comes to an end, I want to be in Cincinnati. Everything comes there 10 years later. It is better to deserve honors and not of them than to have them and not deserve them. I never smoke to excess. That is, I smoke in moderation, only one cigar at a time. If you hold a cat by the tail, you learn things you cannot learn any other way. Everything human is pathetic. The secret source of humor itself is not joy but sorrow. There is no humor in heaven. The secret source of humor is not joy but sorrow. There is no humor in heaven. Words are only painted fire. A look is the fire itself. Few things are harder to put up with than the annoyance of a good example. I have never taken any exercise except sleeping and resting, and I never intend to take any. There is no sadder sight than a young pessimist. Noise proves nothing. Often a hen who has merely laid an egg cackles as if she laid an asteroid. It's good sportsmanship to not pick up lost golf balls while they are still rolling. The man who does not read good books has no advantage over the man who cannot read them. God made the idiot for practice, and then he made the school board. Honesty is the best policy when there is money in it. The finest clothing made is a person's own skin, but, of course, society demands something more than this. All emotion is involuntary when genuine. Against the assault of laughter, nothing can stand. Civilization is the limitless multiplication of unnecessary necessities. Lord, save us all from old age and broken health and a hope tree that has lost the faculty of putting out blossoms. Why is it that we rejoice in a birth and grieve at a funeral? It is because we are not the person involved. The main difference between a cat and a lie is that a cat only has 9 lives. Classic, a book which people praise and don't read. Man is the only animal that blushes or needs to. The trouble ain't that there is too many fools, but that the lightning ain't distributed right. Truth is the most valuable thing we have. Let us economize it. Thousands of geniuses live and die undiscovered, either by themselves or by others. Don't say the old lady screamed. Bring her on and let her scream. The man who is a pessimist before 48 knows too much. If he is an optimist after it, he knows too little. Wit is the sudden marriage of ideas which, before their union, were not perceived to have any relation. What is the difference between a taxidermist and a tax collector? The taxidermist takes only your skin. Do not tell fish stories where the people know you, but particularly don't tell them where they know the fish. I was seldom able to see an opportunity until it had ceased to be one. A round man cannot be expected to fit in a square hole right away. He must have time to modify his shape. Work is a necessary evil to be avoided. My books are like water. Those of the great geniuses are wine. Everybody drinks water. Biographies are but the clothes and buttons of the man. The biography of the man himself cannot be written. Education consists mainly of what we have unlearned. Good breeding consists in concealing how much we think of ourselves and how little we think of the other person. It was wonderful to find America, but it would have been more wonderful to miss it. There are several good protections against temptation, but the surest is cowardice. Optimist, daydreamer more elegantly spelled. What, sir, would the people of the earth be without woman? They would be scarce, sir, almighty scarce. Water, taken in moderation, cannot hurt anybody. One of the most striking differences between a cat and a lie is that a cat has only 9 lives. Prosperity is the best protector of principle. Nothing so needs reforming as other people's habits. We Americans bear the arc of liberties of the world. The human race is a race of cowards, and I am not only marching in that procession but carrying a banner. What a wee little part of a person's life are his acts and his words. His real life is led in his head and is known to none but himself. Work consists of whatever a body is obliged to do. Play consists of whatever a body is not obliged to do. Under certain circumstances, urgent circumstances, desperate circumstances, profanity provides a relief denied even to prayer. Truth is mighty and will prevail. There is nothing wrong with this, except that it ain't so. It were not best that we should all think alike. It is difference of opinion that makes horse races. Often it does seem such a pity that Noah and his party did not miss the boat. Necessity is the mother of taking chances. Fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. The more you explain it, the more I don't understand it. To refuse awards is another way of accepting them with more noise than is normal. No sinner is ever saved after the first 20 minutes of a sermon. I have been complimented many times and they always embarrass me. I always feel that they have not said enough. Man will do many things to get himself loved. He will do all things to get himself envied. A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. Name the greatest of all inventors, accident. Substitute them every time you're inclined to write very, your editor will delete it and the writing will be just as it should be. If man could be crossed with the cat, it would improve man, but deteriorate the cat. Familiarity breeds contempt and children. By trying, we can easily learn to endure adversity. Another man's, I mean. The rule is perfect. In all matters of opinion, our adversaries are insane. Sometimes too much to drink is barely enough. It is just like man's vanity and impertinence to call an animal dumb because it is dumb to his dull perceptions. Drag your thoughts away from your troubles, by the ears, by the heels, or any other way you can manage it. Soap and education are not as sudden as a massacre, but they are more deadly in the long run. How lucky Adam was. He knew when he said a good thing, nobody had said it before. The public is the only critic whose opinion is worth anything at all. The most interesting information comes from children, for they tell all they know and then stop. The Christian's Bible is a drugstore. Its contents remain the same, but the medical practice changes. We are all alike on the inside. Why shouldn't truth be stranger than fiction? Fiction, after all, has to make sense. The 1st of April is the day we remember what we are the other 364 days of the year. I was gratified to be able to answer promptly, and I did. I said I didn't know. I never let schooling interfere with my education. There are people who can do all fine and heroic things, but one keep from telling their happiness to the unhappy. He is now rising from affluence to poverty. When I was younger, I could remember anything, whether it happened or not. I must have a prodigious quantity of mind. It takes me as much as a week sometimes to make it up. Few of us can stand prosperity, another man's, I mean. The wit knows that his place is at the tail of a procession. There are times when one would like to hang the whole human race and finish the farce. The educated Southerner has no use for an R except at the beginning of a word. All right, then I'll go to hell. George Washington, as a boy, was ignorant of the commonest accomplishments of youth. He could not even lie. Ideally, a book would have no order to it, and the reader would have to discover his own. Humor must not professedly teach, and it must not professedly preach, but it must do both and it would live forever. I make it a rule never to smoke while I'm sleeping. Prophecy is a good line of business, but it is full of risks. The more things are forbidden, the more popular they become. It is easier to stay out than get out. When a person cannot deceive himself, the chances are against his being able to deceive other people. When red-haired people are above a certain social grade, their hair is auburn. Only kings, presidents, editors, and people with tapeworms have the right to use the editorial we. Let us make a special effort to stop communicating with each other so we can have some conversation. It is my belief that nearly any invented quotation, played with confidence, stands a good chance to deceive. Martyrdom covers a multitude of sins. Repartee is something we think of 24 hours too late. Let us not be too particular. It is better to have old second-hand diamonds than none at all. Better a broken promise than none at all. The public is merely a multiplied me.